I'm good. Good to have you back.
Okay, we're live now. Hi, Janice.
Hi, Alex. It's really great to have you back.
Yeah, thanks for keeping the show going while I was gone. That was amazing.
Oh, we had some amazing people come in and join us, people who are using the seed system.
That's great. Well, today we're going to be talking about Diamond Cutter Institute Global's next level, which is level 6, and it's called Freedom from Addiction: How to Stop the Downward Spiral. You and I have taken this level before. We did a 2-week intensive on it, and I can tell you that it changed my life. And one of the main reasons was being able to notice all the different addictions and bad habits that we have that maybe we don't always identify as addictions. So that's one of the things we're going to talk about today. But I wanted to ask you, Janice, how do we know if we have an addiction?
Oh boy. When we took that course, it was shocking to find out the characteristics that an addiction have and then to identify all the addictions I do have. One of the first things you'll notice is you have this compulsive desire to achieve pleasure through the thing you're addicted to, whether it's a mental addiction, physical or emotional, or I don't even know just a philosophical addiction. The next one is you can't stop going after your addiction, even if you try. You might begin to recognize that you have this addiction, but you realize that if somebody puts your addiction in front of you, you can't stop yourself. That's a real identifier for me. If there's something that I know I shouldn't do, shouldn't have, and it becomes right there in front of me, I can't stop myself.
I'm thinking about cake, like chocolate
Yeah,
cake.
cake, yeah, especially well, frosting mostly, but cake, yes, because
Mhm.
cakes have frosting. So my addiction for sugar, cake, things like that, or coffee even. The next one is it hurts me. My addiction will cause me pain because if I can't get it, I'm really unhappy, and then I'll do things to other people that causes them pain. So it not only hurts me, it hurts those around me. And our behavior becomes irrational. We'll do crazy things to get what we need. And I'll use an example. I was traveling with my husband in Australia, and he wasn't a coffee drinker, and I was. And really, I got in kind of, just really angry at him because I hadn't had my coffee. I wanted it and I was going to do anything to get it. So it's that sort of thing. I was addicted. I am addicted to coffee. I like it, but am I still willing to hurt someone over it? No, but I have. I've yelled at them and said mean things. You know, so I have hurt people with an addiction and I want to stop doing that. And I think that's the first thing is to recognize where we might have an addiction, identify it, and, you know, attend to this next level workshop so we can find out how to stop it. Alex, I have a question that's really been bugging me because after all those ways that you can recognize what an addiction is, how about some of the things we do which we label maybe it's a habit and we think it's a good habit or, we don't know. But how do you know how to draw the line between having a habit and the habit becoming an addiction?
That's a great question. Yeah, I think, there's very serious addictions that fall into those 4 criteria that you talked about. And I know people who have died from their addictions or who have lost family members. And I know that you do too.
Mhm.
Um, so we don't want to trivialize and compare substance abuse addiction to my problem of watching movies and wanting to watch a movie every night. They're not the same because I'm not threatening my life. I'm not losing my job by watching movies, right? But I did have to stop my subscription to Netflix because
Oh,
I couldn't control. I'd watch one episode and then the next episode and the next episode. So there was definitely this inability to stop. When I knew I should be going to bed, to get enough sleep. And instead, I was addictively watching TV. So I think that's an example of something that might, we might think of more as a bad habit. I have a bad habit of watching TV. One way of recognizing a bad habit, maybe we're not losing our job and maybe we're not getting divorced over it or losing all our money from gambling, but it could take our energy away. We might not feel as good the next morning when we've watched too much TV. And one of my other favorite bad habits is, eating ice cream with chocolate sauce on it in front of the TV. So I'm still working on my bad habits. But I have had substance abuse problems. I smoked cigarettes at a young age. I started smoking cigarettes, and I would, I would do anything. If I ran out of cigarettes, I would drive, very far. I would drop everything I was doing to get the cigarettes. And, I've had other substance abuse problems, and I don't want to go into that here. You guys don't want to hear about that. But I do want to say that I understand the seriousness of it and, how great it is to be able to stop an addiction. Now, back to the bad habits that we sort of think they're okay. We kind of let them slide. We almost make friends with them. But they're stealing away our energy and our enthusiasm. And this level is going to help you whether you have a major addiction, in which case you should be getting professional help as well. We're not addiction counselors. DCI is not an addiction counselor. But the methods here can be used for a serious addiction or for our small bad habits. And going after those small bad habits gives you so much freedom and really makes your life better. Janice, what's your experience been with bad habits? What do you?
Oh, well, I was kind of thinking, if one of the definitions of an addiction or a bad habit or the line between is if it hurts me or others. And sometimes we label things that we're actually addicted to doing as good work ethic. Because I was thinking, I'm at the point in my life where I think I'm sort of addicted to work, and I think it does cause me physical harm. And I think it hurts others, because I'm not sure, but I was just thinking about that. That could be an addiction for me, addicted to work because, I don't go home when I could. I don't take breaks. And the things that I do set an example for those around me. If I have employees and they see me not taking a break, they might be afraid to take a break themselves. So I'm causing them some harm, so I think it's really good to look at the things we label as, oh, she has a great work ethic, rather than a bad habit of not taking care of herself at work, something like that. So I was just thinking about that. And so that could be one of my bad habits. And then, well, I've definitely, oh gosh, what I've struggled with is I have a lot of addicts around me. So I was interested in why do I see all this problem with addicted people around me? And maybe I think my addiction is mild. Like I have enjoyed alcohol in the past and never really thought I had a problem. I could, drink a couple of glasses in a month and then go without it for another month, but I always craved it. But the thing I experienced is I have a lot of addicted people around me. Now, why is that, Alex? Why do I have to experience that? What do you think the source of that is?
That really brings us to the topic of what is different about DCI and why is this level on freedom from addiction going to be able to help us with things we may have struggled with for our whole lives, being messy, being unorganized, being late, having too much stuff. Oh my gosh, there could be a lot of them. But the reason is because there's a great, Geshe Michael gave a really great presentation, which is going to be available on our platform for free for people to watch. And he talked about this concept called the emptiness of the three spheres, So if you've heard before anything about the seed system, the concept is that what we did in the past is forcing us to see what we're experiencing now. And the only way that's possible, because Janice and I are seeing two different things right now, is if the screen is blank. So it's like we're projecting onto a blank screen, right? And that's a simple explanation of what emptiness is. So the three spheres is the addict is empty. Alix, the addict to ice cream, is empty. The ice cream itself is empty. Some people like it, some people don't. And the interaction between myself and the ice cream, maybe I could have ice cream in the freezer and just let it sit there for a week or 2 weeks. But no, once I have ice cream in the freezer, I'm eating it every day. So, all three of those things are empty. I'm empty of getting pleasure from the ice cream. The ice cream is empty of having pleasantness in it because some people don't like it. Some people have no interest in it. And then the compulsion to do it, again, is also empty, the interaction in between. Then to go a little deeper, which is your point, Janice, is why do I live in a place where ice cream is available to me?
Right.
Why do I have addicted people around me? Or why is there a liquor store on the corner instead of a yoga studio? And the answer is those things are empty and they're coming from what we have done in the past. And the level is going to go into some really great explanation of how we can use that knowledge and digging into that. What did we do in the past? And especially, Janice, have you had this experience where, the more we do something, the more we want to do it? That's a big part of a bad habit, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of like, well, I was thinking about it. Like sometimes I go down that downward spiral of negative thinking. And that's a mental addiction to negative thinking. And what it does is when we understand how seeds work, they start in our mind. And then the more I think negative things, I see more negative things around me because I'm making a seed that will ripen into the results of my negativity coming to fruition. If I'm addicted to the TV news, instead of seeing great things that people do, and there are so many things that people do that are so good, but it's not sensational. So it's not on the news. So if I'm addicted to watching TV and the news and seeing negative things, I'm going to see more and more negative things in my reality instead of seeing the beautiful world outside of me. And it's the way seeds ripen in our environment. If I've helped others, encouraged others in their addiction by having it available to them, maybe making it easy for them to get it, then I'm creating an environment where I'll have the things that I'm addicted to, like Alix and ice cream, me and coffee, me and wine in the past, all of those things, they're going to be available to me. I'll walk in and the Airbnb will have a liquor cabinet or something like that. So if we want to stop it, it's like Alix said with the three spheres. She's empty, the ice cream's empty, and her enjoyment of the ice cream is also empty. What's it empty of? It's empty of not coming from some action she took in the past. So it's the pen and the chew toy for the dog and for the human. So, when we go deep into that and start analyzing where things come from, we might see things differently.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, great point. One of the other things about bad habits or addictions, which I think people might want to think about as they're thinking about maybe joining this level. And again, there's some great free videos about it that you're going to have access to soon on our platforms. And you can learn a lot just by watching those. But one of them is try to notice the mental space that our addictions and bad habits take up. The planning, trying to plan to, make sure that I buy a movie so that I'll have a movie to watch. One of my biggest addictions, actually, the funny thing is we don't usually like to look at our biggest addictions, but that the phone, picking up the phone and looking at it. um, wondering where the heck it is. There's Janice. You lost your phone. That when you can't find your phone, you go into a panic. So the mental real estate, you could say, the space in your mind that these bad habits or addictions are taking up is squeezing out other positive things that we could be spending our time on or thinking about or enjoying doing. So I wanted to bring that up, that we can look at how much space in our mind it steals, how much energy and enthusiasm it could steal from us, these habits that we have, and
And
time
creativity.
and creativity. Yeah,
Mhm.
they just waste a lot of time. So if we can break out of a habit that we have or an addiction that we have, we're going to feel, and I have had this happen, a real sense of freedom. I was in a codependent relationship for many, many years, over 20 some years, and that's a mental addiction, a bad mental situation for over 20 years, 25 years. And about 12 years ago, that relationship ended. And I had such a feeling of freedom and lightness, like I could do anything. I was so supercharged because I didn't have this weight and this big problem hanging around that I'd had for so long. It's like being freed from a prison that you don't even know you're in.
Oh, I love that. Alex, it just reminded me, when we talk about our addictions, and we identify them, like I've mentioned a few, like coffee and work, those are kind of acceptable. But, I was thinking, we usually don't want to admit our biggest addiction, because we don't want to admit it's there because we don't want to let it go, I think. And I'm experiencing that now. Um, I like to shop. And
Oh,
I try to cut down, like, I try to avoid yard sales now. I like yard sales too. So I like yard sales, I like shopping centers, and what I did to, help me with my addiction is I opened all these stores so I can buy tons and tons of things. But what I suffer from is my house is full of, oh, I can't swear. It's full of a lot of stuff that I don't
no.
enjoy. My house is choking me, but it's an addiction that I didn't want to mention because maybe I'm ashamed of it. And those are the hardest to get rid of. If we can't admit the problem, we can't fix it. It's this mistake of thinking that, somebody outside can come and fix it. I could have somebody come in and, Marie Conto, did I say her name right? I could have someone come and clean my house, but if I don't fix the addiction, it's gonna be messy and full of junk really fast again, because it's coming from me. So I'm the one who has to address it and fix it, you know? So I wanted to mention that often we'll start to identify our addictions, but we won't really say what our biggest one is.
Exactly. And that is the first step, is to identify what it is we want to change. And then, as you said, it will come back if we don't change the causes. And that's
Mhm.
why DCI is so wonderful, and the seed system is so useful to me, is because it's not just putting a band-aid on the problem or using some type of like repression. If I have a bad habit of thinking or speaking negatively about people, criticizing people, for instance, at first we might need to restrain ourselves from saying something bad about someone else, and we should. But isn't it wonderful if our mind stops always picking out faults in people? And I was just telling Ben, my partner, today, I've noticed that my mind doesn't constantly want to pick out negative qualities in people. I'm starting to see the good in people instead. And so that's a new habit, and changing the causes so that the thought that arises in the mind changes. So very cool.
So what I'm hearing you say, because you struggled every time that you had a negative thought, you struggled with it and you delayed it a little bit, you were planting causes for not having more negative thoughts and criticisms towards other. So because my collection of crap in my house is coming from me, every time I struggle to throw something out, and then be rejoiceful in that, or really happy about that, getting rid of stuff and not bringing more stuff in. That struggle will help plant seeds for me to start eliminating my addiction.
I think so. I mean, acting our way into right thinking is an important concept, whether you are using the seed system or, many other ways of helping ourselves out there. Actions are so important. So we can't just change the thoughts from the beginning. We can't push a thought back into our mind, once it starts coming out. But when we change our actions and we change our words, then the thoughts do start to change.
Perfect. So we all have an opportunity to identify our addictions and to start the process of finishing them.
Yeah, well, I'm
I'm
glad
encouraged.
me too. I'm glad we get the chance to study this again and to,
Mhm.
continue. It's a continual process, because once you get rid of one addiction, another one maybe crops up too. So I'm excited to get another chance to take a pass at really looking deeply at where I want to change my habits or my addictions.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you going to say, Janice? Go
Well,
ahead.
I was thinking, this level of how to peel off our addictions, how to remove them, you know, I think it links to the level that we just taught, talent, passion, and purpose. Because when we free ourselves from our addiction, our mind is more open to, discovering what it is we really want to put into our life. And we can plant seeds for that too.
Yeah, and that creative energy we can put into what we're excited about accomplishing in this short life that we have. And thanks for bringing up the passion, talent, and purpose. That's available on our website, or you can find that information on Instagram of how to find that. And as always, level 1, which will teach you all the basics about the seed system, is available for free at seedsoftruesuccess.com.
Well, we look forward to seeing you guys. Thanks for tuning in today. And we'll have a program again next week.
Thanks, Janice, for,
Yeah, thanks,
for
Alex.
being here. Thanks for being my partner. And
Yeah, thanks,
maybe
Catalina. Thanks,
yeah,
Alan.
thanks, Alan and Pau. Maybe we'll have a guest next week. I think we've got some ideas about some cool guests that we could bring on. So I look forward to it.
Me too.
All
Thanks,
right.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.